The breaking point. Ambassador Maya Chen stood at the viewport of the Galactic Alliance's central hub, watching as ships from dozens of worlds glided through the starfield. The massive space station, known as the Nexus, hung in orbit around Centauri Prime, a neutral world chosen centuries ago as the meeting place for the hundreds of spacefaring species that made up the Alliance. Maya took a deep breath, straightening the deep blue uniform that marked her as Earth's representative. 6 years she'd been here, fighting for Earth's voice to be heard. 6 years of being patronized, dismissed, and exploited. Today that would end. Ambassador Chen, the Council is ready for Earth's scheduled grievance hearing, announced an aide, a tall Vindari with silvery skin and 4 arms. The beam's voice was polite, but tinged with the condescension that had become all too familiar. Maya nodded curtly. "Thank you, Lyran." She followed the aide down long corridors, lined with holographic displays of galactic history, none of which featured humanity, despite Earth's contributions since first contact 40 years ago. The Alliance had welcomed humans with open arms back then, eager for access to Earth's unique resources and biodiversity. The welcome had proven false. The council chamber doors parted as Maya approached. 200 representatives from the galaxy's most powerful civilizations sat in tiered semicircles, their attention focused on the central podium. Supreme Chancellor Kellis, with his towering frame and 6 eyes arranged in a perfect hexagon on his pale face, presided from the elevated central platform. Earth's representative may approach and state her grievance, Callis announced, voice booming through the chamber without need for amplification. Maya walked forward, feeling the weight of her mission with each step. The data device clutched in her hand contained evidence compiled over years, evidence that would either save Earth or condemn her to being the catalyst for what came next. Supreme Chancellor, honored representatives of the Galactic Alliance. Maya began, her voice steady. For 40 years, Earth has been a loyal member of this body. We've provided rare minerals, unique botanical compounds, and allowed unlimited study of our diverse biosphere. She paused, scanning the room. Some representatives shifted uncomfortably. Others watched with predatory interest. In return, the Alliance promised technological exchange, protection, and fair trade. These promises remain unfulfilled. Chancellor Callis waved dismissively. These complaints have been addressed in previous sessions. Ambassador Chen. The transitional agreement clearly states that full technological exchange occurs only after a century of membership. Earth is still considered developmentally immature. A ripple of amusement moved through sections of the audience. Maya's jaw tightened. What the agreement doesn't permit, she continued, is the unauthorized harvesting of Earth's deep ocean minerals, the abduction of humans for genetic experimentation, or the use of our world as a dumping ground for toxic materials from Xerillian manufacturing planets. She raised her data device, projecting images above the assembly, ecological devastation in previously pristine marine trenches, satellite imagery of unauthorized extraction facilities, medical scans of returned abductees with evidence of invasive procedures. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Chancellor Callis slammed a ceremonial staff against the floor, creating a thunderclap that silenced the room. These are serious accusations, Ambassador, and conveniently unprovable. Your primitive monitoring systems are known to be unreliable. The Alliance Investigation Committee has already. The committee is compromised. Maya interrupted, causing gasps throughout the chamber. Interrupting the Supreme Chancellor was considered a grievous breach of protocol. I have evidence that committee members from the Xerillian, Vordax, and Talisian delegations have received substantial bribes to falsify inspection reports. She projected a new series of financial records, communications, and recorded meetings. Chancellor Callis's 6 eyes narrowed to slits. You overstep, human. This body has indulged Earth's complaints out of patience for a young species, but there are limits to our tolerance. Maya stepped closer to the podium, abandoning diplomatic pretense. Earth doesn't need your tolerance, Chancellor. We need justice. For years, we've attempted to work within your system, believing in the principles this alliance claims to uphold. We now understand those principles don't apply to species you consider beneath you. The Vindari delegation's leader stood, her silver skin flushing purple with anger. The human accuses without understanding. Their species has barely mastered rudimentary space travel. What could they possibly offer that would merit equal standing? Maya turned to face the Vindari. That's exactly the point, Counselor Thera. You've all underestimated humanity because we showed you what you expected to see. A chill seemed to settle over the chamber. Earth hereby formally withdraws from the transitional agreement, effective immediately. All Alliance personnel are ordered to vacate Earth space within 72 hours. Chancellor Callis rose to his full 3-meter height. You have no authority to make such a declaration. The agreement requires a 200-year minimum commitment. Earth has barely served a quarter of that. An agreement built on deception and exploitation is no agreement at all, Maya replied. We've already begun removing your mining operations from our oceans. The diplomatic compound in Geneva has been sealed. This is sedition. Chancellor Callis roared. Guards, detain the human representative. Uniformed security personnel materialized from alcoves around the chamber, converging on Maya. She stood her ground, raising her voice to be heard over the commotion. I expected this response, Chancellor. It only confirms what we've long suspected. The Alliance is not a partnership of equals, but an empire that tolerates its subjects only as long as they remain useful and compliant. The guards reached her, their energy restraints humming with power. Maya offered no resistance as they bound her wrists. You've made a grave mistake, Chancellor Callis said, his voice deadly quiet now. Earth stands alone, Ambassador Chen. You have no allies here. Maya looked up at him, a surprising calm settling over her. We've always stood alone, Chancellor. The difference is that now we're done pretending otherwise. The chamber dissolved into chaos as Maya was led away, delegation members arguing furiously among themselves. Some seemed troubled by the proceedings, others gleeful at Earth's apparent downfall. None noticed the small device that had fallen from Maya's sleeve during her arrest, a quantum transmitter that had broadcast the entire confrontation across subspace, directly to Earth. Admiral William Kagawa stood in Earth's Orbital Defense Command, watching the transmission from the Galactic Alliance Nexus. Around him, military and civilian leaders of the United Earth government witnessed Ambassador Chen's arrest in grim silence. When the feed cut off, President Lena Okafor turned to the assembly. The ambassador has confirmed what our intelligence has suggested for years. The Alliance never intended to honor our agreement. They've been systematically exploiting our world while deliberating, keeping us technologically dependent. She nodded to Admiral Kagawa. Initiate Liberty Protocol. Kagawa placed his palm on a biometric scanner. Liberty Protocol authorized. Authentication Kagawa Delta 97 Echo. Throughout the solar system, hidden installations began to power up. In the asteroid belt, massive structures that had been disguised as mining operations revealed themselves as shipyards. From Earth's oceanic depths, the very trenches the Alliance had been illegally mining, rose defense platforms that had been hidden in plain sight. On the far side of the moon, the doors of an enormous hangar slid open, revealing hundreds of warships that the Alliance had never known existed. For 40 years, humanity had played the role of technological novices. While openly developing only basic interstellar capabilities, Earth had secretly prepared for the day when the Alliance's true nature would be revealed. That day had come. All fleet commanders, this is Admiral Kagawa. Deploy to predetermined coordinates. First contact protocol remains in effect. No first strikes. Defensive posture only. Across Earth's communications networks, a simple message was broadcast to all citizens. Humanity NO. It was the signal millions had trained for. Sleeper cells of Earth's defense forces activated worldwide. Key infrastructure moved to secure protocols. The planet's true defensive capabilities came online. On the Galactic Alliance Nexus, Maya Chen sat in a detention cell, waiting. The guards had been rough but not brutal. The Alliance preferred psychological torment to physical. They believed humans were fragile, easily broken by isolation and uncertainty. Another misconception that would soon be corrected. A view screen activated on the cell wall. Chancellor Kellis's hexagonal arrangement of eyes stared at her. Ambassador Chen, the Council has convened an emergency session to address Earth's sedition. As the instigator, you have been sentenced to public execution, to be carried out in 12 hours. Maya met his gaze steadily. And what crime, exactly, am I being executed for? Violation of the transitional agreement, false accusations against council members, incitement to rebellion. The list is extensive. So I'm to be executed for telling the truth. Callus's mouth twitched in what might have been a smile. Truth is subjective, human. Power is absolute. Earth will learn this lesson through your example. The screen went dark, leaving Maya alone again. She closed her eyes, silently counting. By now, Earth's hidden fleets would be mobilizing. The quantum beacon embedded beneath her skin would be transmitting her location continuously to Earth's Special Operations Command. All she needed to do was wait. Chancellor Callis was reviewing the details of Ambassador Chen's scheduled execution when the emergency alarms began blaring throughout the Nexus. Supreme Chancellor, his aide burst in, panic evident in his voice. We're detecting multiple gravitational anomalies throughout Alliance space, hundreds of them, appearing simultaneously. Explain, Callis demanded, rising from his desk. Unknown vessels, sir. They appear to be emerging from concealed fold space pockets, thousands of them. Impossible. Show me. The aide activated the central holographic display. The galactic map materialized, showing the territories of all Alliance members. Across the map, clusters of red dots were appearing, concentrations of unidentified ships materializing near every major Alliance world and installation. Get me the defense minister, Callis ordered. Before the aide could comply, the holographic display flickered and changed. The face that appeared wasn't the defense minister's, but a human, a stern-faced man with graying hair and the insignia of Earth's military on his uniform. This is Admiral William Kagawa of the United Earth Defense Force. We are aware of Ambassador Maya Chen's illegal detention and scheduled execution. This action constitutes a formal declaration of war against Earth. Callis stared in stunned silence. The humans barely had interstellar capability. They couldn't possibly. For 40 years, Admiral Kagawa continued, Earth has hidden its true technological development while observing the Galactic Alliance's predatory practices. We no longer recognize the Alliance's authority. All Alliance assets in Earth space have been neutralized. Ambassador Chen will be returned to Earth unharmed, or the consequences will be severe. The transmission cut off, returning to the galactic map. The red dots were still spreading. Kellis's aide stood frozen in shock. Sir, preliminary reports indicate the human ships possess technology that shouldn't be possible for their development level. They're using gravitational manipulation systems more advanced than our own. Outside the viewport, space itself seemed to distort as the first Earth vessels materialized near the Nexus. They were sleek, black ships that absorbed rather than reflected light, making them appear as moving voids against the starfield. The sky had gone dark with ships that shouldn't exist, built by a species that had fooled the entire galaxy. Get me a direct line to Earth's leadership, Callis ordered, his voice barely a whisper. And delay the execution proceedings. The age of Alliance dominance had ended. The human era was about to begin. The reckoning. Maya Chen had expected the execution chamber to be austere, a sterile room designed for efficient killing. Instead, the Galactic Alliance had created a theatrical space, with tiered seating surrounding a central platform bathed in harsh white light. The message was clear. Death was not merely punishment but entertainment, a spectacle to reinforce the Alliance's absolute authority. She stood on the platform, refusing the option to kneel. Her wrists and ankles were bound by energy restraints that hummed with a soft blue glow. Despite her situation, Maya felt oddly calm. Whether Earth's plan succeeded or failed, she had accomplished her mission. The Alliance's true face had been revealed. The viewing galleries were filling with Alliance dignitaries. Some looked uncomfortable, others eagerly anticipatory. Chancellor Callus entered last, taking his position on an elevated observation platform. His 6 eyes fixed on Maya with cold calculation. Ambassador Maya Chen of Earth, the Chancellor's voice resonated through the chamber. You have been found guilty of sedition against the Galactic Alliance, false accusations against council members, and incitement to rebellion. The sentence is death, to be carried out immediately. Maya lifted her chin. I reject the authority of this council to judge me or my world. Earth stands independent of your corruption. Murmurs rippled through the audience. Such defiance was rare in the face of execution. Most condemned beings begged for mercy or resigned themselves to silence. Your defiance changes nothing, Callus said. Earth's rebellion will be short-lived. Your primitive fleet, however surprising its appearance, cannot stand against the combined might of the Alliance. A slight smile touched Maya's lips. You still don't understand, Chancellor. You never have. Callus gestured impatiently to the execution officer, a towering reptilian being holding a ceremonial staff. Proceed with the sentence. The reptilian approached, raising his staff. Its tip began to glow with energy that would disintegrate Maya's nervous system instantly, supposedly the most humane execution method in the Alliance's arsenal. The chamber lights flickered. The reptilian hesitated, looking up in confusion. The lights flickered again, then went out completely, plunging the chamber into darkness. Panicked voices rose from the galleries. Emergency lighting activated seconds later, casting an eerie red glow over the proceedings. Security breach in sectors 7 through 12, announced an automated voice. Unknown intruders detected. All personnel implement lockdown procedures. The execution officer turned to Callus for instructions. In that moment of distraction, a shadow detached itself from the ceiling directly above the platform. A figure in black armor landed silently behind a reptilian, moving with impossible speed. Before anyone could react, the executioner collapsed unconscious to the ground. The figure, human in shape, but enhanced with technology far beyond what Earth was supposed to possess, touched Maya's restraints. They deactivated instantly. Captain Nathan Rivera, Earth Special Forces, the figure said, voice distorted by his helmet. Ready to go home, Ambassador. Maya nodded, rubbing her freed wrists. Perfect timing, Captain. Chancellor Callus rose from his seat, fury contorting his features. Guards, secure the human prisoners. Alliance security forces streamed into the chamber, weapons drawn. Rivera touched a control on his wrist, and a shimmering energy barrier encircled the platform, deflecting the first volley of stun blasts. This technology, Callus hissed, Earth cannot possibly. As I said, Maya called out to him, You never understood us, Chancellor. Humans have a long history of hiding our capabilities when facing a more powerful adversary. We learned to play the long game. Rivera handed Maya a small device. System-wide broadcast ready. Ambassador, Earth Command suggests you make your position clear before we leave. Maya nodded, activating the device. Instantly, her image projected throughout the Nexus and across Alliance communication networks. Every ship, every colony, every Alliance world would see her next words. People of the Galactic Alliance, she began, I am Ambassador Maya Chen of Earth. For 40 years, the Alliance leadership has exploited less powerful worlds while claiming to represent galactic unity. They have harvested resources without permission, conducted illegal experiments on sentient beings, and maintained power through intimidation and force. Maya paused, looking directly at Callus. Earth now stands against this corruption. We are not alone. Already, 27 Alliance worlds have contacted Earth pledging support for reform. The Alliance you believe in, one of justice, cooperation, and mutual respect, has never existed under the current leadership. The chamber had fallen silent, every eye fixed on Maya. Earth does not seek war, but neither will we submit to tyranny. The choice before the Alliance is simple: reform or revolution. Rivera touched her shoulder. Time to go, Ambassador. Our window is closing. Maya nodded, then addressed the chamber one final time. Chancellor, you have 24 hours to open diplomatic channels with Earth for negotiation of a new galactic compact. After that, we will no longer recognize Alliance authority in any form. With those words, Rivera activated his transport beacon. Both humans dematerialized in columns of blue light, leaving the execution chamber in chaos. On the bridge of the EDS Defiant, Admiral Kagawa watched Maya Chen materialize on the transport platform. Medical personnel immediately moved to assess her condition, but she waved them away. "I'm fine, Admiral." The extraction went smoothly. Kagawa nodded, relief evident in his expression. "Welcome back, Ambassador. Your broadcast has already triggered significant developments. The Arthosian and Norelli delegations have formally severed ties with the Alliance. 7 other worlds are expected to follow within hours." Maya joined him at the command center, studying the tactical display. Earth ships maintain defensive positions around the Nexus and key Alliance facilities. So far, no shots had been fired on either side. And Chancellor Callas, silent for now. The Alliance Defense Ministry attempted to mobilize their main fleet, but we've implemented a system-wide dampening field. Their ships can maintain life support and basic functions, but weapons and FTL drives are offline. Maya raised an eyebrow. "The full suppression grid is operational. I thought that was still theoretical." "We've had it ready for years. We just needed the right moment to reveal it." Kagawa's expression turned serious. "The question now is what comes next. President Okafor is preparing to address both Earth and the Alliance worlds. She wants your input before she does." Maya nodded, considering. "The Alliance isn't entirely corrupt, Admiral. Many worlds joined for the same reasons Earth did, seeking cooperation, protection, advancement. It's the leadership and the power structure that's rotten." "Agreed. But centuries of entrenched power won't be surrendered easily." "No," Maya said softly, "it won't." Chancellor Callas paced the emergency council chamber, rage emanating from him in almost palpable waves. Around the table sat the 12 most senior officials of the Alliance, their expressions ranging from shock to outright fear. "How?" Callas demanded of his science minister. "How did they conceal this level of technological development? Our assessment protocols are infallible." The science minister, a Tellarite with translucent skin through which complex thought patterns could be seen circulating, shook his head. "They deceived us masterfully, Chancellor. Our assessments were based on what they showed us. We'd never considered they might be deliberately presenting a false technological facade." "It's unprecedented," agreed the defense minister. "No species has ever undertaken deception on this scale. The resources required, the discipline to maintain the illusion across decades. They're savages." Callas slammed his fist on the table. "Primitive, emotional creatures barely out of their Stone Age. They cannot be permitted to dictate terms to the Alliance." "With respect, Chancellor," the Foreign Affairs Minister interjected cautiously, "their capabilities suggest they are far from primitive. Our preliminary analysis of their suppression technology alone indicates advancements decades beyond our current understanding of gravitational manipulation." Callas turned to the defense minister. "What about the Omega contingency? Can we deploy?" A heavy silence fell over the room. The Omega contingency was the Alliance's most closely guarded secret, a doomsday weapon designed as a last resort against existential threats. "The contingency facility is no longer responding to our commands," the defense minister admitted, unable to meet Callas's gaze. "Earth forces secured it 3 hours ago. They knew exactly where to find it." Callas stared in disbelief. "Impossible. That location is known to only those in this room. Which means, the intelligence director said quietly, we've been compromised for years. The humans have had access to our most sensitive information. They've been playing a very long game, Chancellor. A communication alert chimed. The Foreign Affairs Minister activated the display. Chancellor, she said, voice strained, we're receiving simultaneous transmissions from 34 Alliance member worlds. They're formally declaring independence from Alliance authority and requesting direct diplomatic relations with Earth. Traitors, Callus hissed. There's more, she continued. The Praxis Coalition is offering to mediate negotiations between Earth and the Alliance. They've sent representatives to both. The Praxis Coalition, 5 ancient species who had withdrawn from galactic politics centuries ago, were respected as neutral arbiters in major disputes. Their involvement signaled how seriously the situation was being taken throughout the galaxy. We don't negotiate with rebels, Callus declared. The defense minister cleared his throat nervously. Chancellor, I must advise caution. We've just received reports that Earth forces have deployed some kind of energy matrix around the Nexus. Our analysts believe it could potentially collapse the station's structural integrity if activated. Callus stared at the tactical display, showing Earth ships surrounding the Nexus, home to over 1 million Alliance citizens and the seat of government for hundreds of worlds. They wouldn't dare, he whispered, but uncertainty had crept into his voice. President Lena Okafor stood on the bridge of the EDS Defiant, flanked by Admiral Kagawa and Ambassador Chen. Her image was being transmitted across Earth and to every Alliance world, the first direct address by Earth's leader to the broader galactic community. People of Earth and citizens of all worlds, she began. For generations, the Galactic Alliance has presented itself as a community of equals, united in pursuit of peace and mutual advancement. Today, we know this to be false. The President's voice was steady, her expression resolute. Earth joined the Alliance in good faith, believing in its stated principles. Instead, we found a hierarchy of privilege where newer or less technologically advanced species were systematically exploited. We witnessed illegal resource extraction, unauthorized genetic experimentation, and the suppression of any who questioned Alliance authority. She gestured to Maya. Ambassador Chen's scheduled execution for simply speaking these truths demonstrates how far the current leadership has strayed from the ideals the Alliance claims to uphold. Her expression softened slightly. To the people of all Alliance worlds, Earth does not stand against you. We stand against a corrupt system that has failed us all. Already, many of your governments have recognized this truth and withdrawn from Alliance authority. The camera pulled back, showing the full bridge crew, humans working alongside representatives from several former Alliance species who had defected to Earth's cause. Earth proposes a new beginning, a true galactic compact founded on principles of sovereign equality, non-interference, mutual defense, and genuine technological exchange. No world should fear exploitation or coercion from those meant to be their allies. President Okafor's expression hardened again. To Chancellor Callus and the Alliance leadership, your time of unchecked authority has ended. You face a choice. Join us in creating a more just galactic order, or stand alone as your influence continues to crumble. She nodded to Admiral Kagawa, who stepped forward. As a demonstration of Earth's commitment to peace, we will deactivate our suppression field around Alliance military vessels for 12 hours, beginning now. Use this time wisely, for negotiations or evacuations. Be aware that any aggressive action will be met with immediate response. The transmission ended. On the bridge, President Okafor turned to Maya. Do you think they'll negotiate? Maya considered the question carefully. The leadership. Unlikely. Callus has too much pride. But the Alliance isn't monolithic. Without their technology advantage, many council members will see the wisdom in finding a peaceful resolution. Admiral Kagawa nodded in agreement. Our intelligence suggests at least half the council is already quietly discussing terms of cooperation with Earth. Callus's support is eroding hourly. And if he attempts a last stand? The president asked. We're prepared for that contingency, Kagawa replied. But I don't believe it will come to that. The Alliance built its power on technological superiority and the illusion of invincibility. Both have been shattered. Maya moved to the viewport, gazing at the stars and the silhouettes of Earth ships against them. We spent 40 years preparing for this moment, learning their weaknesses, developing countermeasures, building our strength in secret. But the real victory isn't in our ships or weapons. What then? President Okafor asked. The real victory is that we've offered an alternative. For centuries, Alliance members have believed there was no other path. Now they see another way forward. Chancellor Callis stood alone in his private chamber, watching as reports continued to flood in. More defections, more calls for his resignation. The Alliance, his alliance, was disintegrating before his eyes. A soft chime announced a visitor. The doors slid open to reveal Councillor Thera of the Vindari, once one of his strongest supporters. The Council has voted, Chancellor, she said without preamble. 17-5 in favor of opening negotiations with Earth and the independent worlds. Callis didn't turn from the viewport. And you? Did you vote for surrender? For survival, Thera corrected. The humans have demonstrated both overwhelming technological superiority and remarkable restraint. They could have destroyed us, but instead offered partnership. That is, not a choice we would have given them, had our positions been reversed. They deceived us for decades, Callis growled. Yes, Thera agreed. They learned from the best. We taught them to distrust through our actions. They simply perfected the lesson. She approached, placing a data tablet on his desk. Your resignation, effective immediately. Sign it, and you'll be granted safe passage to the outer colonies. Refuse, and face trial for crimes the humans have extensively documented. Callis finally turned, his 6 eyes narrowing. You think this new order they propose will last? Species don't change their nature, Counselor. Power corrupts all eventually. Perhaps, Thera conceded, but the humans have built remarkable safeguards into their proposed compact. Distributed authority, transparent decision-making, independent oversight. Concepts we discarded centuries ago as inefficient. Weakness, Callis countered. Strength, Thera replied. They unified their entire world before reaching the stars. Despite internal differences that would have torn other species apart, they found common ground. That perspective, that commitment to difficult unity, is something the galaxy needs. She gestured to the tablet. Your decision, Chancellor. But choose quickly. The Earth delegation arrives in 1 hour to begin transition talks. History is moving forward, with or without you. 1 month later, Maya Chen stood in the newly renamed Unity Chamber, formerly the Alliance Council Chamber. The tiered seating had been reconfigured, removing the hierarchical arrangement that had placed older or more powerful species in privileged positions. Now representatives sat in a perfect circle, symbolizing the equality at the heart of the new Galactic Compact. 78 worlds had joined immediately. Another 45 were in the process of applying. Even some species that had previously shunned the Alliance were sending observers, intrigued by the new power balance. Ready, Ambassador? President Okafor asked, joining Maya at the entrance. Maya nodded, taking a deep breath. Ready, Madam President. Together, they walked into the chamber. The assembled representatives rose in a gesture of respect, not because protocol demanded it, but freely given. Among them stood former Alliance members, independent worlds, and even representatives from Earth's former colonies on Mars and Europa, now recognized as sovereign entities. Maya took her place at the simple podium. No elevated platform, no trappings of superior authority. Representatives of the Galactic Compact, she began, we gather today not as rulers and subjects, not as advanced and primitive, but as equals united by common purpose. The stars belong to no single species. The future of this galaxy must be shaped by all who inhabit it. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes, or sensory organs, of dozens of different species. Earth hid its true nature for 40 years because we saw no other way to protect ourselves from exploitation. That era of deception is over. Today we commit to transparency, to mutual advancement, to genuine cooperation. Maya gestured to the great viewport behind her, where ships from dozens of worlds now patrolled together, their diverse designs forming a new kind of fleet, one built on alliance rather than dominance. The alliance taught us how power can corrupt. We have learned this lesson well, not just to guard against others, but to guard against ourselves. No single world, including Earth, will ever hold unchecked authority in this compact. She placed her hand on the ceremonial charter, a physical document inscribed in the languages of all member worlds. Together, we begin again. Not in fear, not in suspicion, but in the hope that we are all capable of growth, of change, of building something better than what came before. The chamber erupted in approving sounds, applause from humans and human-like species, harmonic trills from avian members, resonant humming from crystalline beings, and dozens of other expressions unique to each world's culture. Maya smiled, feeling the weight of 40 years of preparation finally lifting. Earth had emerged from the shadows, not to conquer but to transform. The stars were no longer silent watchers of injustice. They shone now on something new, a galaxy learning, at last, to speak with many voices as one.